What's the next thing? Justin Gaethje against Khabib has been officially announced for October 24. So that kind of caught me by surprise a little bit, because whenever Dana White has been questioned about Khabib, he's like, I'm leaving him alone, man. His dad just passed away and I'm giving him all the time he needs, which is fine, fair enough. So I was a little bit surprised that this deal got done and it's happening in October 24. I'm not surprised, because I'm not surprised that Khabib is fighting in October. I'm not surprised that Khabib is coming back, just by the character that he's displayed over the years. But I'm just surprised that the way Dana White was basically, he just kept everything under his hat, and then bam, he just said the fight's done. He announced it on CNN apparently. So I think that the way the announcement came surprised me more than the fact that this fight is happening in October. I'd assume this was an easy fight to get done, considering both these guys are managed by Ali Abdelaziz. So I'd assume everyone's happy. Obviously, you got the backdrop of the fact that Khabib, recently lost his dad, and I'd hate for all of the media engagement that Khabib has in the run-up to this fight to be about the loss of his father. I'd really like it if Khabib just is able to maybe put out a statement, have one interview with Brett Okamoto or something, and just say what he needs to say, answer any questions that people might have about the loss of his father, about his mind state, about how he felt, etc., and then just leave it there. Like, I don't think it's necessary for him to be questioned, and especially if he's having to answer the same questions over and over again about something that's clearly a distressing and emotional thing, fucking losing. And it's not just his dad, like it was his dad, his trainer, his coach, his mentor. Like, he wore so many different hats. Like, I would hate for the build-up of this fight to just be about Khabib losing his dad, because that's not fair on Khabib. That's not fair on Justin Gaethje, because you don't want to build this narrative that Khabib losing his father is going to have a big part to play in how this fight goes. And I don't think it would be fair on Justin Gaethje if he wins, and that's kind of like a built-in excuse amongst the MMA community that he only won because Khabib was not in the right place mentally. Because if Dana White is to be believed, Khabib had all the time in the world to not fight. So if he's making the decision to fight, and it might be an emotional decision, then he's doing it off his own back. He's doing it knowing that if he's not in the right headspace, he shouldn't be doing it. Do you know what I mean? And that's not Justin Gaethje, can't control that. And with both of them being managed by Ali Abdelaziz, I'd imagine that this fight could have been deferred a little bit longer, a couple of more months down the line, if Khabib needed the extra time. So I'm just assuming that Khabib is in the right place mentally to train. I'm assuming that Khabib is going to be ready come fight night. The fight itself, I'll give my prediction closer to the fight. But the actual fact that it's in October was, something that I wanted to comment on. And the fact that when Dana White was asked about Khabib retiring after his 30th fight, and this would be his 29th, presuming he wins, his final fight being against GSP, which kind of tickled me a little bit, given the fact that GSP just seems to like dip in and out when he wants. But I think he's earned that. He's earned the right to do that. But that fight, if it does happen, I'd hate for it to happen at lightweight. I think this is a perfect fight for it to be at 165 pounds catch weight. Because if Khabib is a champion, you don't want him to defend the title against GSP, because GSP's, if he does win, he's just going to not defend that belt. But if they have it at 165 pounds, it's just literally a super fight. Like, people use that term super fight so often when it comes to MMA, and I sit here saying, no, it's not a super fight. I made this point when John Jones was talking about him fighting Francis Ngannou being a super fight. It might be a super fight for John Jones, it might be a super fight for Ngannou, but for me as a fan, it's not really a super fight, because what's on the line? But in this instance, it's two legacies, and it's two dominant guys in two different weight categories meeting, not in the middle, because obviously 165 pounds is a lot closer to 170 pounds than it is 155 pounds, but somewhere in the middle. They're meeting in a mutual territory to fight each other. That's what I would like to see. I don't know whether the UFC would allow it. I think it would make sense for the UFC because they don't want GSP, excuse me, they don't want GSP to potentially beat Khabib and then walk away again, you know, and then have no champion at lightweight. Or do they? But yeah, that's my thought on the Justin Gaethje Khabib announcement. Obviously I'm going to make more videos closer to the time. We're only in well, it's not August yet, we're the last day of July, so we're still a couple of months away, but definitely exciting times for us. The last thing I wanted to touch on is